Coming up on the BGC podcast this week. Has being on it sort of tainted the whole Big Brother thing for you?
I don't think it's tainted it, but I do think I won't watch it the same anymore.
Yeah.
Which, in a way, is sad because I know all the secrets, I know how it works. But also as a viewer, I think you can really quickly forget how much of a TV show it is.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 50th episode of the BGC podcast.
Woo! 50 episodes, mate.
I know, right? Who would have thunked it?
Not us. Not me. That's for sure. Not me going, oh, yeah, we could do a podcast. We do like seeing each other on a weekly. We do love a chat. Who knows how long it'll last? And here we are.
A year later.
A year. I can't.
It's actually our year anniversary today, isn't it?
It is special. Special.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mate. Speaking of special, we had a little guest, didn't we?
We did, but shall we run the title before we tell them who it is?
Yeah, it's like it's my first time. Jesus.
Two friends. Hi, I'm Laura.
Hi, I'm Vic.
One big gay chat. From coming out,
Staying out.
and everything in between. Long-term relationships,
Dating disasters.
quite possibly the most unreasonable icks.
The BGC podcast.
Go on then, Vic. Tell them who the special guest is.
So we had, I can't believe I'm saying these words. We had Dean.
Donald Trump.
Never, no matter how much he begs. We had Dean
We did.
from Big Brother come onto our podcast, chat very openly, honestly, and just hilariously with us, answered all of our questions.
Yep.
Allowed me to have a little drinky poo while I did that because nervous. She didn't want to fangirl too hard. But yeah, it was so fun.
And what a lovely guy.
Just so down to earth.
Yep.
Like a people person, like genuinely cares
Mm-hmm.
about people and is fully aware that people have different views and different opinions to him and knows that that doesn't make them a horrible person.
Yes.
It just means they have different opinions. And we need more people like that, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our chat with Dean, and we will see you straight after.
Firstly, thanks for coming on, like buzzing
Oh,
that you're here.
having me.
Honestly, thank you. We do have loads of questions.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Awesome.
So ask away.
Perfect. Some of them may be a bit personal. If you don't want to answer them, obviously don't. Right.
Oh, I'm an
It's
open
just-
book, darling. I'll answer anything, me.
He's good, isn't he? He is good.
I can't wait for this.
Well, first of
Oh,
all,
yeah.
how was your time in the Big Brother house?
Yeah.
Oh, how was my... So this is a great question because, like, I think if I was to answer this straight out of the house, I would say it was amazing. I loved it, and I did.
Yeah.
But on reflection, 2 months on, I'm like, it was fabulous, but it was also traumatic. I feel like it was, everyone's got some slight trauma from it, really. Everyone that I've spoken to after the house is a bit like, oh yeah. It's weird, like it was a great time. And I think what I've now learned is what was, they're making a TV show, but you don't really know they're making a TV show till you come out and see it.
Mm.
So now I've not watched it back, but bits I have seen, I'm like, oh, it made it look like we were all miserable and arguing all the time. And that's not the case. And I think my experience, and I saw Ali last night, and she was like, have you not watched it back? And I'm like, no, because like my experience was my experience. Like I had a great time, but on reflection, it was quite traumatic. I'm not going to lie. It's like living in a nut house. It really was. You know, you're stuck in these four rooms, if anything, if there's even that. Like, and yes, it's quite spacious, and it was a lot bigger than I thought on first arriving. But then actually being in there for so long, everything just gets smaller and smaller, and there's no space. They say it's a social experiment, and it really is. You're like lab rats. You really are like lab rats. You know,
I can imagine.
The bright lights, the bright colours on the walls, and not being able to sleep in the day. only going to sleep at 3 a.m. and then they wake you up at 10. It's like being in a nut house. Like,
no naps. No.
no naps. You're not allowed to nap. No. So
Oh,
they
I'd
they
hate
wake you up
that.
at,
Cruel.
well, it was horrible. So they wake you up at 10, and then you go to bed at 3 a.m. most nights. And then I think there were some nights towards the end where they were like, okay, we'll get them up a little bit later, because they were realizing that everybody was just falling asleep.
Yeah.
Like, you see nominations as like 10 minutes. We were there for 8 hours.
Oh,
They sat you at the sofas for 8 hours. Can't move unless you want to wee. You go, and you've just got to wait for continuity. Like, you just got to wait. And
oh
like,
God.
you're nominating for about half an hour, because they're like, well, say it again. What reason is this? Is not a good enough reason. Like, my nominations are quite quick, because I always knew I was going to nominate, and I always knew what I was going to say. So like, I didn't have a problem. Didn't have a problem with that. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's so hard," and I come up and be like, "Yeah, it's so hard." I mean, son, I'm like, "No, it's not."
I'm
Not
about to
all
read
out.
you the film.
Yeah. Oh, and she did, and then she got
Yeah,
evicted
she
for
did.
it.
Wow. So were you not allowed to like go to bed early? Like if you fancied it,
No,
just be like, I'm just getting a
no,
cheeky early one actually.
no, not at all. Like, you could go, I think after a certain time, you could go and lay in the bed. You can go and
Yeah.
lay down and do whatever you want to do, chill, but you can't physically go asleep. They will wake you up. The only one that was allowed to sleep at any time was Lily, but she had a abscess in her tooth, and she
Right.
was like, really, it was really bad. So they were like, no, like, you need to sleep. So they let her sleep that off. But other than that, no, you are awake, and that's why it goes from like 0 to 100 so quickly. Because the first week you're all like, "Oh, I love everyone. Everyone's great," and then by literally day 8, it just changes. Everyone's like, "Fucking hate everyone. I've got no sleep." Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it is wild. The no sleeping thing, it really affects you, because then when you come out, you don't sleep. I didn't sleep properly for about a month. Um, like, Ali is that's similar. She's only just started sleeping properly now.
Mm.
Your whole thing is out of sync. Like, your whole
Mm.
routine is gone. You're on Big Brother time. You
Yeah.
are on Big Brother time. And when I come out, I got a lot of messages from last year's housemates being like, "Oh, if you need a chat, if you need anything, like, we're here." I was thinking, I'm fine, babe. What are you talking about? And then obviously a few months off, I'm like, oh, now I get what they mean. Like,
Yeah.
because you're kind of reliving the, I'm going to call it trauma, because it's like Big Brother trauma. It is like PTSD,
Mm.
um, of everything that happened in the house, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you come out, you think it's going to be over, but no, because there are still people, ex-housemates, that want to talk about it all the time online, and
Mm.
like, it just becomes a bit cringe, and I'm just like, don't make your whole personality the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 If you've got a job
Wow.
to go to your job.
Yeah. That's so mad because obviously us, the general public that have never been on Big
Yeah.
Brother, don't even think about it after, like the
No.
aftermath, the effect that it has on you physically,
No.
mentally. That's so great. It's just the
No
naps,
one
isn't
does.
it?
Yeah, the naps was, yeah. And to be fair, I'm getting a little bit older, so a nap would have been lovely.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
hear
I
you.
definitely think if they would have let me nap, I would not have been as aggy sometimes, like, over the coffee. But yeah, you don't think about those things. And
No.
as a viewer, when I've watched it growing up and all the years that it's been on, I've never once thought, oh, I wonder what the day is actually like, or I wonder what it's like when they come out, because you don't.
Mm.
You're not, like, it's weird going in, because I still don't feel like I've been in, like, because I'm such a big fan, and then coming off. Look, I'm such a big fan to the point that I used to like Photoshop myself in a picture of the house, because
Oh.
Yes, live out your dreams. We're here for
I
that.
was like 15 years old, like, right, let me Photoshop this, like, popping it on MySpace. But yeah, it's wild to think that I've even done it, you know. So
Do they
we,
support you when you're in the house, like with your like mental health and stuff? Are they
oh
big
yeah,
on that? Yeah.
yeah, I can't fault them for that. I really
Yeah.
can't. So like, if you're ever having like a day where you're like, there was a time I was this close, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I
Mm.
can't do this anymore. And I'm not a quitter, but like, it got to the point where there were so many arguments going on. It was just the week of me and Ali being head of house. Um, and the whole Hannah situation where she just kicked off about it, and I was a bit like, we saved you too. Like, I don't understand why you're coming for us about it now. And like, there was a big thing about it, but honestly, in there, I felt so isolated from that moment, and it was horrible. I felt like I was back in school. I felt like I was like on the playground. I was like, no, I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
So the diary room is open. You can go into the diary room whenever you're feeling. And Big Brother's really good at noticing. I mean, you've got to think there's like 300 and something cameras in there, and they're constantly filming you 24 hours a day, and there is someone listening to your mic at all times, 24 hours. So if something does happen or kick off, they are on it. So if you're feeling the type of way, so there'd be times I'd be talking to Ali and I'd be like, fucking hell, get me out of here. Or I'd say something to Martha or Lily, and then they'd be like, could Dean come to the diary room? And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, I don't want to talk about it. Because you forget that they can hear you.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really good for that. And the aftercare is like phenomenal. Like it really is. Like I've seen people say about that it was really bad from last year, but I think if that's their experience, that's their experience. But from mine and from all the people that I know, they've been great. Like you've got the psychiatrist. She's on set. Like she's there if you need to chat to her if you want to. They do check-ins. So like every 2 weeks they would check in. So you'd go to. This is another Big Brother secret. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Oh,
like
Do
you
it.
go
We love it.
yeah, you go into the diary room and they're like, "There's an iPad, but you need to talk to." And Charlotte's the only other person that you see. Like for you, I mean, I know it breaks the illusion a little bit, but it's your welfare. Like they need you, and it really is secret. So like they turn the mic off, they can't hear you. It's just you and the psychiatrist. That's it. And even now, they're like, if you need anything, even from now until Big Brother starts again next year or whenever it starts, they're like, you just call us and we've got you. So yeah, they're really good. They're really good regards to mental health. I definitely can't fault them for that.
Amazing.
Physical health, on the other hand, I don't know, but my mental health.
Fairs. Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always like you don't think about like the mental health effects after, but it's good that they've got you.
Because it's very overwhelming, and I think I never realised, and I don't think anyone watches it realises that you're in hiding for about 5 days. So you're in like a hotel room, and there's no TV, you've got no phone, you've got a chaperone, and that's it. You're literally that is it. You can leave if you want to get fresh air, but it has to be timed to like other housemates and not, because obviously you don't know anyone, they don't want you to bump into anyone. It's very, very well done. Like, and then that final night they put you in a car, you drive to wherever it is, and then you wait, like whatever the order is, you're just waiting. So obviously I was last, and I'd been sat there. I was gonna piss myself, and I was like, listen, I know you're going to put me last. I was like, I could just feel it. They're like, well, you can't tell you. I was like, well, I'm not a dickhead. It's 11:15. I'm like, obviously I'm last. I was like, but I need to wait. And they were like, well, you can't. You have to wait to get in. I went, I won't last. You're going to. So they had to take me out of the car. Because obviously there was other cars in there as well with housemates in, all blacked out. No one could see each other. And they've just got an umbrella. And you can just see my legs. But no, it's great. So did we wait, and then you literally are taken to the house. You get out of the car, and you're met by the production team, who are the best people. I love them so much. And then I nearly had a panic attack because you walk out and you haven't seen anyone for 5 days, not even spoken to your loved ones, and all of a sudden there's a crowd of 300 plus people just shouting and screaming, and then you can hear yourself in the background, and then they put like these noise cancelling headphones on you as well, so like you can't hear. She was like, "You're okay." And she had to hold my chest and was like, "Breathe." And I was like, "Fuck, what am I doing?" So then you get into another car, which literally drives from here to here, like it just rolls, and then you get out of the car, and that's it. Everything is a blur, and then you walk in the house, and that's just a crazy experience. Walking in them doors.
That's so
Hearing all
crazy.
those people.
Like
it's
I'm
insane.
watching it when you were all going in, you would like see you all like be like, oh my god, like to obviously people that you know. And I'd be like, that's so mad. Didn't they just see them? Like, didn't they just drop them off? Like,
Everyone says
why
that.
why are we
Everyone
being so
says that.
dramatic about it? But
Yeah,
actually, you hadn't seen him for 5 days, so I get
I've
it.
seen it for 5 days. And my partner, I'd not seen him for, it was nearly a week because he was away for work. And I literally was like, okay, this is it. Like the last person I saw the day before I left was his mum. And she didn't even know I was going. So I was like, oh, see you soon. It
Yeah.
was so weird. Couldn't tell anyone either. So nobody knew apart from
No.
my partner. So then when I saw him, that's one thing they say, don't go to your friends and family because, AJ and Will are waiting. I'm like, so fucking AJ and Will. I ain't seen him for 7 days. So I went straight to him. And I'm glad I did, really, because no one else, when I spoke to everyone else, they were like, no, we didn't go to our loved ones. I was like, more fool you, love.
Yeah.
Because I weren't
Yeah.
going.
I saw my
I planned to
opportunity and
be.
I took it.
Yeah, I took it. I took it. Because I was like, if I'm going to be in here for 6 weeks without contact, I'm not going to not say my goodbyes.
For
Right?
sure.
It's as simple as that.
For
And that is
sure.
hard. Six
Wow.
weeks off. I was in there for 4 and a bit, so that was awful being in there without contact. Honestly,
I can imagine
rough.
it being really hard for your other half as well. Just obviously being able to watch you on TV. And there was a
Oh,
point when you got really upset as well. And I know
mm,
I've like put myself in that situation.
yeah,
I saw my other half getting upset on the telly. I'd be like trying to hug the telly. That's
yeah.
okay.
I was like, I think I'd never cried so much in my life than I did in that house.
Yeah.
Like, and it was mainly because I missed him. And my thing was, and I said this to people for a lot, and I don't know if they aired it, but I was like, on the outside world, like he is if I've got a question or if I'm second guessing myself or if I doubt anything, I'll go to him and he's like, you're absolutely fine. And that his word is like God. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm doing fine. Everything's
Oh, I
fine.
love that.
You don't have that in there. So you have to then build relationships. And like I keep saying that Ali for me was like that in there.
Mm.
I had Ali, I had Martha, I had Days, I had Lily, um, and even Emma, like to a point, and Rosie. We were like, she was baked potato. She was she was really good, and she'd always be like, "Oh, he's thinking of you, he loves you," and I'm like, "You're so sweet," but like you can't get it out of your head, and you're thinking
Mm.
you've got no clarification on the outside world, and all I kept thinking, as an overthinker anyway, is have I said something ridiculous? Have I done something ridiculous? Is the internet going to go wild, and he's going to have to deal with that on his own
Mm.
on the outside? And I was like, I don't want that. And everyone was like, Dean, you haven't done anything. What are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I haven't. And then I got the phone call, obviously,
Yeah.
from him, which we had no idea. No, and you could tell by my reaction, my ugly Kim
Yeah.
K cry. That is like, we had honestly no idea. And it was just, yeah, it was the hardest thing. I struggled with that and I didn't think I would. Like, I've been away before for a month and like, I did the island years ago, 10 years ago, I did the island and I was 24 and I was away in the middle of the Panamanian jungle for a month on my, like with other people that I'd never met, zero contact and I was absolutely fine. But
Yeah.
I think it's because now I'm older and we are like he is my safe space and having that removed, I was like, this is rough.
Mm.
Didn't realize I'd be like that.
Mm.
So yeah,
Wow. That's mad. I
yeah,
just
it's
can't, like,
insane.
I'm just not, again, like, you're opening my eyes to the whole thing. Because I'm like, what? What
Yeah.
do you mean?
And he said that to me. He was like, just like, he was very much like, because I was like, once I'd realized that I could potentially be on it, I was like, holy shit, like, this is happening. Like,
Mm.
after all those years of dreaming about it, then being on it. And he was like, just think about the other side of it. Like,
Yeah.
he's very real with stuff like that. It's going to be fun, but just think about your own mental health and are you going to be able to cope with it? And like, will you be okay? And me, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, blase, yeah, it's great. I'm gonna be a big brother. It's gonna be fun, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but there was also a lot of. It was fun when it was fun, and it was shit when it was shit.
Mm.
Like it was really high and then really low. There was no in between. There
Yeah.
was never an in between, and it is it's rough. It is rough.
Yeah.
So if
Has it
anyone's
like
watching this, think about it.
yeah, yeah. Has it sort because I mean
Really.
you saying that you're a big fan from when you were watching it when you were younger, has
Mm.
being on it sort of tainted the whole Big Brother thing for you?
I don't think it's tainted it, but I do think I won't watch it the same anymore.
Yeah.
Which, in a way, is sad because I know all the secrets. I know how it works. Like, but also as a viewer, I think you can really quickly forget how much of a TV show it is because you're watching it with a viewer's eyes, right? So you're going to see a 45-minute edit and you're going to make assumptions on people from that edit. And even if you've been on the show, it's really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even with other shows now, like when we was watching The Traitors, I was like, oh, that one's really annoying me. But then I was like, actually, let me think about this because I know what the other side is like. They
Yeah.
might just pick up one bit and roll with it because it's essentially they've got stories to write. Like they're making stories, and if the stories don't connect, then they're not going to show it.
Mm.
You know. But yeah, as a viewer, I don't think I'll ever watch it the same ever.
Understandable.
Like, but then I'm like, will I watch it again? Because I feel like you dream of something for so long, you do it, you're like, I completed it. On to the next thing. Like, what can I do next? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Would you go on any other TV show?
I would, but my partner's like, you're not doing any more reality. He's like, you've had enough. You're not doing that anymore. You're not leaving me again for how long? To be fair, I think the only other one I would do is I'd love to do if they did a non-celebrity version of The Jungle. I'm a celeb. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do The Traitors, but I'd want to do
I can imagine you on The Traitors. I think you'd be amazing. Because I love The Traitors. Like
such a
we
good
binge
show.
watch it, but I
Yes.
think you'd be brilliant on it. I love it.
I'd love to go on it. But I'd love to do. We've been watching the American one, and I was like,
Yeah.
they're all like celebrities that have been on Big Brother in America and like
Yeah.
Survivor, and I'm like, and then you've got Bob the drag queen. I'm like, where is this random mix of people? I'm like, throw me in. I'd love to do the American one, and it's filmed in Scotland, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You don't
filmed it
watch
in the
it, do
same
you?
place.
She don't
I'm
watch
not a
it.
watcher.
Oh,
Don't come for me.
wow.
I will watch it maybe eventually.
It's all on, it's all there for you to watch it. They're all there. All the
Keeps
seasons.
telling
It's
me to
great.
binge it. No, I might just do it.
Do it. It's
You
good.
know what though? I was like you. I didn't watch it at first, and when I got my partner, he was like watching. I was like, "What is this shit you're watching?" And then 10 minutes in, I'm like, "When's the next episode? When can I watch more?"
I
And
know
he's like,
that's
"Oh,
what
you
I'm gonna
like
be
it?"
like. I'm gonna be like. It's
Yeah,
gonna take over my life.
yeah. But it's good. It's a distraction from the shit that goes on outside.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You know?
You said that you haven't watched Big Brother back. Do you think you ever would?
No. Yeah, I will eventually. I don't want to watch it on my own though. I feel like it's. I want to watch it with people that I was in there with, so we can have a conversation about it as well. Because I know what I'm like, and I don't know if anyone said anything about me, or if I say, for example, you see someone that you really thought was your pal in there, like just talking about you, even if it's not in a bad way, you're kind of going to start second guessing your friendship. But because it's been so long, I'm like, actually, the longer I leave it, the better it will be for me to just watch it. The only thing I did watch was my Vampire Task
Right.
because there was a lot of stuff online, and I was like, let me see what all the fuss is about. And I found it hilarious. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was quite funny. I didn't know why everyone got so upset by it. And then I watched my exit interview,
Yes.
which was wild. Everyone was like, "Is he pissed?" I'm like, "No, I'm just overwhelmed."
Is there
I wish I
anything
was.
that was like, because obviously, like you said, it's 45, a whole day put into 45 minutes.
Yeah,
And as a viewer, I watched it. And
yeah.
is there anything that you would change about your time in the Big Brother house? I'm mainly talking
Ooh,
about the whole Marcello situation.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I think because this is the conversation I've had many times now, and I'm like, you people that know me have said we knew. Like my friend Danny, she was like, we knew something was wrong
Mm,
from like week three, or end of week two, beginning of week three, because you started to change a little bit
yeah.
in your behavior, and like there were there were shots of you where you just wasn't you. And I was like, yeah, it's because I'd said things and and brought up things about the situation with him, but it never got shown.
Right.
So there were things happening in the house that I didn't agree with.
Mm.
And I even said to Big Brother, so when we had to nominate his head of house, which I think a lot of people were like, you know, when we was in the room doing it, it was fine. And I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. I can say it face to their faces. But then you're in this, you're on the sofas, and then the lights go down, and then all of a sudden my heart's thumping, and I'm thinking, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Like, we actually, because they're looking at you, and I'm like, this is quite rough. Like, these are people too, you know. Like,
Mm.
I don't want to upset anyone or make anyone feel like shit. So, and then, and I think Ali found it hard as well, because we were both a bit like, oh my god, like, you know, she got quite emotional about it. So when we gave our reasons, they wasn't entirely the full reason, because my mind just went blank, and
Yeah.
I'm not the greatest at articulating my words in ways that others can. I will just say it how it comes out, and then
Right.
sometimes I'm like, oh no, maybe I should have said something a little bit different. But with that thing, like I said in our nomination, they didn't show it. I said, like, I'm worried because certain behaviours that he is showing is quite worrying, and I
Mm-hmm.
fear it could like affect housemates, like, and him really.
Mm.
And he was called to the diary room on multiple occasions for his behaviour. I even had this conversation the other day that, and it really made, there was a time in there, and people were going to say it's not true or it didn't happen, but I the amount of times I heard the word batty man, or I heard and I was speaking to Ali about this, and I was like, I didn't say anything because I'm like, surely not. Surely I'm not here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
Mm.
Everything is so heightened in the house. And then Ali was like, no, you heard it because I'd hear it too. Um,
Mm.
and I was like, wow, okay. But then I started to think, did they not call? Obviously, they got called to the diary room about their behaviours. We didn't know what they were being, and they couldn't discuss what was
Mm.
being said. I can only hope that it was cool and they were spoken about, because I only heard it once or twice and never again. Um, there was always the boys were always joking about. I don't know the context of it, but there was always someone joking about being bi, like a bi joke, and it was like someone called Bi Brian, and I was like, what? This is not funny. Like, are
No.
you? I don't know what your joke is, but it's not okay on
Mm.
any level.
Mm.
And then when I tried to speak about that, obviously in my exit interview, I got shut down because it wasn't part of their narrative.
Mm.
So, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that, because actually I've come out of the house and had a lovely, warm reception from a
Yeah.
lot of people, especially the queer community. So I'm not bothered by it. But there were things that happened in there that people did not see and hear. I know
Mm.
what I heard. I know what I saw. I know how I was made to feel,
Yeah.
and that's all I need to say, and they know that. And Big Brother is very good at like calling people up on it, but they don't have to show if they don't have to. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
I think
Um,
though, like with you saying what you said you heard him say,
mm,
that doesn't surprise me. Like
no,
as
yeah, and
soon
it
as he
wasn't just
walked
him.
in,
Funny
I
enough,
was, pardon?
it wasn't just him. There was
No.
like a few of the boys I'd heard things, but
Yeah.
didn't really want to believe it. But the majority, like the thing that done it for me, when the only thing that I got called up for was when we was doing the Halloween task, and I was dressed as Frankenstein, and he was like, "Oh look, it's Campenstein," and I was like, "Okay, if we were friends and I knew you,
Yeah.
maybe that would be funny." And I was just kind of like, "Oh," and then they all laughed in their little gang, and then Ali was like, "Oh look, more homophobia," and I was like, "Yeah," and that's why I got called into the diary room. It was like, "You said homophobia," like, and I was kind of like, "Well, yeah, you heard it," and they were like, "Are you
Call a
okay?" And I
spade a
was like,
spade. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to call it out. You can't just allow it to happen.
"Right." So they were like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you offended by it?" And I was like, I'm not offended, but like, I don't." And it was all so quick, and I was like, I didn't really know how to feel about it, because I was like, I don't want to make a thing out of it, because then it's going to be really awkward. But also, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that that's been, because, you know, something like that would be called out for non-queer people, and I've seen it online. They'd be like, "Oh, it's a stretch on," and I'm like, "Yeah, it might be a stretch for you, but when you're living in that situation and you hear those things, it's a lot of trauma that opens up from
Mm-hmm.
being young, you
Mm-hmm.
know." Um, so yeah, those things happened. Those things happened, and I'm glad that I got clarification on it from other housemates,
Yeah.
so that I wasn't going nuts.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it happened a few times. I heard a few things a few times, and so when I did the vampire task, and we were asked to be brutally honest, when I think about it now, could have my answers been a bit more softer? Yes. Do I wish they were? Absolutely not.
And fair
Because I
play.
said what I
Mm.
said. I said
Yeah.
what I said, and I meant what I said. I meant every word that I said.
Mm.
And also, the other vampires were like, "Yeah, go in because you're up against Nathan, who is like, you know, he will say what he wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just go in." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So in my head, I'm playing the game. But previous to that, I'd already like we'd had a conversation, and I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to win the show. Like, it's 100 grand.
Yeah.
I would rather leave with 100 grand than 14 new friends. I'm sorry, like." I
Legit.
didn't know you before. I don't have to know you after. If my bank account is stacked, I'm okay. I will pay for fucking therapy. Like, but yeah, like I said what I said, and I'm okay with what I said. I'm okay with it.
I
Good.
get like you obviously like second guessing about whether to say anything or not because you're in a house with them for however long. Like you
Yeah,
also have to survive like mentally.
it's
If you start
survival.
making it awkward, like again, yes, it should always be called out, but it's not like if you were to call it out in like a normal everyday social life where
Different.
you can
Yeah,
be like, I'm now going to get up and leave and never see you again. It's like,
yeah.
cool, I'm going to get up, go over on that sofa and then sleep in the bed next to you for the next however many weeks. Like,
Right, exactly this, and this is what people miss the point. You
mm,
know, you are if you say something in there, you can be isolated very quickly,
Yeah.
and being isolated in a place like that is not nice.
mm,
You feel very alone. You don't feel part of it. Like the night after that happened, like I've spoken to Sarah since as well. Me and Sarah are absolutely fine. Like we saw each other at the final. We chilled in a hotel room. She was like, "Listen, it was a game. It's absolutely fine." I was like, "Your shoes are still shit, but we are cool." You know what I mean? And that was a house joke, and no one, it wasn't shown before. So
mm.
it was again, it came out of context. But a lot of the games were like, "Oh, you read them," and I was like, "It was a reading challenge. I felt like I was on RuPaul." Like, but
Yes.
yeah, me and Sarah are fine. Like, but yeah, you have weird, like, if you in a day-to-day life, I always say, if there's someone at work that you don't get on with, you can be like, "Oh, you know, whatever," because you're going home. But if they
Yeah.
piss you off, you tell them, and
Mm.
you're like, it's you move on, and that's fine. Or in day-to-day life, you go home and you're away from them, and you can let time settle. But in there is no time to settle,
Mm.
and because you're bored, the entertainment is the latest argument,
Yeah.
and arguments come and go so quickly. If it's not one thing, it's another. And we always used to say that in the house. "Oh, don't worry, it'll be something else tomorrow," and it always was. But then after the vampire task, it wasn't, and that was honestly some of the loneliest hours I've ever felt. I've never felt lonely before. In that moment, I felt so lonely. I'd gone into like no one was really talking to me apart from Ali. Martha had gone. Um, Lily was Lily was Lily. She was like trying to stick up for herself, but eating the chocolate. Um, you know, so there was all that going on, and Nathan, who was my friend throughout, literally just completely pied me off. Rosie was still being a bit awkward because she was with Nathan, not
Yeah.
intentionally. You know, it was very lonely, like to the point where I just walked in the bedroom and just sat on my bed on my own. You know, and it was yeah, it was horrible.
Mm.
But it was at that moment I kind of knew if I don't go tomorrow, I I was like, if I don't go on Friday, I don't know how I'm gonna pull this back. It was that was my two things. One part of me is like, I hope I do go because I think I'm ready now to go because I've done what I needed to do. I've said what I've said, and obviously, you as a viewer, you don't know the context,
Mm.
and then obviously being up for nomination. Like that night, I didn't sleep, and it's really weird. I'm very spiritual. I love the ghosts. I love all of that bollocks, and I'm like, I had a dream that night and my stepmom, who's passed, was in my dream, and she walked me out of the Big Brother house to a crowd, and I
Mm.
was like, for me, I woke up for a wee and I was like, yeah, I'm going. That's my.
Mm.
She's come to tell me like this is
I
your
just
time
got
and you're gonna be alright.
goosebumps. I don't know about anyone else.
Did you?
I just got a little goosebump there. That's
That's
crazy.
true story. True story. And I left
Wow.
literally a few hours later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Isn't it? I think as
Yeah.
well, like with hearing everything that you're saying, and I know obviously we know that you bits get cut and you don't get
Of course.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
showed in your full glory. And I think
Which
people
I'm
that are
not
like,
mad about.
yeah, and I think people that are like, no, that's absolutely what they're like. I'm like, you're so naive. Like, you're so naive. That's not like
No.
that's just a fraction.
Well, this is the thing as well, and people are like, "Oh, like you hate Marcello," and blah, blah. And I was like, I don't hate anyone. Like, I don't hate anyone, and I don't think he's a horrible person. I just think he said some silly things, and you might want to, if you want to believe them or not, then that's absolutely fine. But I don't think anyone in that house was a horrible person. I
Mm.
think we have to remember we were playing a game,
Yeah.
and like as much as people, I feel like a lot of people's game plan was not to like, pretend that they didn't have a game plan. I mean, that was mine. Like when everyone was like, "What's your game plan?" I was like, "Oh, I ain't got a game plan. I'm just here to have a good time and win." And then as soon as you say you want to win, you're target number one, and that's what I mean. You
Mm.
can't say anything. You're constantly second guessing what you're going to say because you are trying to survive, because you do want to make it to the final. You don't want to get nominated because of the fear that you don't know what the public are thinking.
Mhm.
People that were popular in the house were like Lily and Caleb getting evicted blew my mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, my eviction shocked me too. To be fair, because I was like, I thought I would be at least in the final
Mm.
because I'd played it so well. I'd never been nominated by any single housemate, like once. The only time I did go is because I was saved and swapped by Emma. Like I was never nominated, so I was like, if I was never nominated, I could have made it to the final.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, um, but yeah, you never know what the public are thinking, so you don't want to get up for a nomination because you want to survive another week.
Mm.
You know, so you don't have certain conversations, or you might skirt over things because you're like, right, don't say anything because if I do that, X, Y, Z is going to kick off, and that's going to affect this group, and it's like that's what I mean by trauma. You're constantly in your head about what to say, and not what to do.
Yeah.
Wild.
Maybe you shouldn't be on the traitors.
Yeah, do you know what? My partner said that he was like, as much as you would love it, I think you would struggle. And I'm like, I'd be a better faithful.
For
I
sure.
couldn't be a traitor.
For
Although
sure.
saying that, when I was in the house, no one knew it was me that spoke to the crow, and I hid that well.
Yeah.
For
No
sure.
one.
Amazing. But you've made like quite a few friends from the house, I'm assuming. Any that you think
Yeah.
are gonna like last for the rest of your life, you're gonna grow old together and reminisce on
Oh
the Big
yeah.
Brother house.
Ali, 100%. Like she is like my lesbian wife. Like we we bonded, and that's another thing in the house you didn't see like how close we were and how much we bonded quite quickly.
Mm.
And I said to Ali was a funny one because on reflection now, fate is a thing, and like you just gravitate towards people instantly. But Ali was one that was quite quiet, and she kind of seemed to wander around the house on her own a little bit.
Mm.
And I remember saying to Big Brother the night they asked me, "Is there anyone that you haven't spoken to that you like want to get to know?" And I was like, "Yeah, Ali, because she's very quiet, but she's also quite interesting because she's so quiet." And I knew that she was like a criminal psychologist, and I was like, "I want to pick her fucking brain. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to know what she's thinking." And then that night we spoke on the sofa outside, and then from that moment we've just kind of been friends ever since. Lily as well. Like I loved Lily from the moment we met. I mean, people said she was so loud when she was screaming. I'm like, she wasn't that bad. She really wasn't that bad. You see again 45 minutes. She screamed when she got excited. She screamed when she got overstimulated. She screamed when she was nervous. I've worked with like children with autism. I've worked with kids with SEN needs, so I know certain behaviours and can deal with those things. That
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. My nephew's autistic. He screams all the time. I grew up like when he was a baby. He'll literally scream. So that for me, I just felt it was weird because it kind of felt like being at home. Like
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I had my nephew there, and I felt the need to look after her,
Mm.
but not in a way that I'm going to clean up her shit because no, I wasn't going to do that. but she can have a wardrobe as much as she wants. But yeah, Lily is just a great human being. Like Lily is one of the purest souls you'll ever meet, and I'd always say to her, just be yourself. Don't
Yeah.
worry about screaming. You want to scream? Fucking scream. You don't know these bastards. Scream. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Martha. I mean, me and Martha. Martha for me was she. I was up for eviction the first week, but not through nomination, through not getting out of storage. So I was so nervous that night because I thought there is no way I've gone through a year's worth of auditions to then get here and leave week one. That is not iconic. That is shit. So I was like, I'm not doing that. And I was so nervous. And Martha, bless her, she had my back the whole day. She was like, "Do you want a tea? Do you want a coffee? Do you want some food?" She had my hand the whole
Bless
time.
her.
So yeah, honestly, and Days was like such a queen. Days is the funniest person I've ever met in my life, and I'm so gutted that from what I've heard, none of that got shown. Like she is hilarious. Yes, I nominated her, but when you're in there and there's certain things that you can only see certain behaviours, and you go, actually, I don't like that because there was nothing else to go off on week one. You
Mm.
know, and I said to her when I come out, I was like, "Yeah, I did nominate you." I was like, she was like, "That's fine." I was like, "Yeah, and she nominated me actually, funnily enough, because I think she nominated me because she thought that we'd be closer, or like we don't speak enough. Um, but when on coming out, I was like, Dave, I fucking loved you, man. Like you were brilliant. We spoke a lot, but I think where the groups there was so much going on the first week and so many people to talk to, you kind of want to try and get to know everyone. You don't want to instantly just because I knew Days was kind of one of my people, and I was like, I don't want to just stay with one person. I want to kind of fill the
Mm.
space and see who's who and what's what before I just gravitate towards my people.
Mm.
Um, Emma as well. I mean, yes, she put me up. Yes, she switched me out. Um, I still don't believe, and I said this to her, I still don't believe that her reason was her reason, but I still think she's a brilliant person. Like,
Yeah.
she just reminds me of an auntie that, like, would drop the C bomb every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of person. I was like, she's a vibe. And little Rosie, like Rosie, I don't have a problem with. Like baked potato. She is a sweet soul. She honestly is. And to be fair, Nathan can slag me off as much as he wants, like on lives and whatever else, because that's what they all do now. They just go on lives and slag people off. I ain't got the energy for that. I actually still quite like Nathan. I think he says things for effect. I think he wants to be a bit of a panto villain, but I actually do think deep down he's a nice human being.
Mm.
Um, and I still quite like him. So
Yeah.
I think he's a great person.
Nathan
But
really surprised me because I thought I would instantly dislike him. But I actually grew to really like him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
I was
is
like, you're
odd.
actually all right.
He's an odd being because I remember seeing him and we was in storage together, and then on the first proper full day in storage, we were having conversations, and I was just like, normally you look like the sort of person just from looks. I was like, we would not get on. We would not get on because I was like, this is going to be another gay that's going to hate me because I'm quite a loud gay, and I was like, here we go. But actually, we got on really well, and I said to him, I'm surprised that we actually get on. Like, I think you're actually quite a nice person, and he was like, do you know what, Dean? I think same, and I was like, great. That was it. Like, we had a good time. So yeah, he grows on you, Nathan, and I think he wants to be like this harsh person, and he has some really shitty political views. We
Yeah.
all know that.
Well, yeah.
But does that mean he's a shit person? No, not really. He just has shit views. And
I'm here for that.
that's okay. That's
I'm here
okay.
for that. Amazing.
Well,
That's so, thank you so much. That was quite a few questions we threw. We have more, but about you now.
okay, let's go.
We do want to know what it was like growing up gay in the
Mm.
traveling community.
Yes, yes, because this was only touched on slightly, wasn't it, in the
Yeah.
show? For me, it was so being a traveller from a traveller background. Like my dad My dad's side is Romany Gypsy. My mum's side aren't fully, but the bloodline is there. So
Yeah.
like great grandparents and stuff. So being of like one parent who was and one parent who really wasn't really, um, I didn't know any different. So then growing up, as a kid, you'd go. I remember because I was the firstborn of seven. I remember a lot of the time growing up on the site or being around my uncles and aunties and cousins who lived on gypsy sites and were always there. And I didn't really see, the thing was in school and stuff. I never really spoke about it because I didn't know there was any difference. I just knew what I knew growing up. I never really thought about, oh, why have I got uncles and aunties that live on a site in caravans? They
Mm.
have horses. They go to Appleby festivals. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know any different, and like it was only as I got older and was in secondary school, and people would be like, um, there was like a really popular gypsy site where I'm from in Walthamstow, and people would like say really horrible things about the people there, and I was kind of like, I don't really understand. And then I was like, oh my god, like I am also one of them,
Mm.
right? But my granddad, when he was old enough, decided he wanted to live in a house. He wanted to bring up the kids in a house and not move around. Because when he was young, he was moving. He was a proper like Romany traveller. Like he would be all over the place. Um, and a lot of people are like they don't understand what Romany travellers are. But the easiest thing to describe them or to even show what they are if you've seen Peaky Blinders, like
Mm.
Thomas Shelby, the Shelby family, they are Romany gypsies,
Right.
like reading the tea leaves, living in the wagons. They're very spiritual people, and they're hardworking people. Like they work hard, and I think they get a lot of the time they get judged the same way as different travelers. There's so many different travelers, and it's like anything. There's a stereotype about people, right?
Mm.
So for me, I never really got bullied for it or anything like that. I was bullied for just being feminine, for being gay, even before I knew I was.
Mm.
So that was hard. And then in secondary school, when people do find out that you're a Romany or they'd call you a gypsy or whatever they want to say, and that it wasn't really that really didn't stick. It didn't stick. It was more the gay thing. But I didn't know any different growing up. Like I grew up on sites. I grew up out of sites. I grew up in houses that like I said, my granddad moved out of and brought my dad up on in the house, but was always on the sites. My dad grew up on gypsy sites. He grew up gypsy sites back then. It was very much like my dad grew up as a kid, and he'd go to a site with my granddad, and then instantly the kids would want to fight my dad. Like, can I fight your son? Can I fight your son? That's what it was like. So it was very masculine energy. It was very, the gypsy community is quite masculine, and like there are no that I know of now. There are only a few queer people, but I don't know if they're out. And it's still very hard because it's very old school.
Mm.
I feel like it's very much like women stay home and their wives and they have the babies and they look after the babies and the men will go to work and it still is like that um, to an extent. So for me then knowing that I wasn't like that as I got older, that was a challenge because you're then my biggest worry was telling my dad because I was like
Mm.
my dad is a Romany man. My uncles, my cousins, they're all very. And when I visit as I got older, I knew I was different. You know,
Mm.
no one ever said anything though, which was lovely. Um, but I knew there was something. There was always like I've said this story to many people. Like my uncle at the time, he's still my uncle, but like he at funerals and stuff, he just wouldn't. Once I came out, he wouldn't talk to me. Like he'd talk to everyone else, but like not come to me. Now I don't know
Mm.
if that was a subconscious thing or if it was actual bias, like he was doing it on purpose.
Mm.
But when I told my dad, I was shitting myself, and I think I was what when I came out publicly, I was 24, so I was quite late. But other people knew from when I was 16, 17, I was having experiences with other guys and stuff like that, but only my really close friends knew. Um, And at that time, growing up at 16, it wasn't really, I didn't know any queer people. I didn't know any gay people. Like, I think the first two gay friends that I had were my age. And I met them through a cousin and they were together. And I remember meeting them and I remember becoming really good friends with them and thinking, this is, this feels correct for me. This feels like where I should be. And in a way, I was kind of envious that they were in a relationship and that I just thought it was really fucking cool. And I was like, I want to be like them. Like, I know that's who I am. And then I remember having a discussion with them in a car about it. And then they were like, yeah, do you think you're gay? And I was like, I think so, yeah. And then I had to tell my dad. And that was hard. And my granddad. And, but he was so lovely about it. Like, he was like, boy, as long as you're happy, I don't care. Like,
I love
he's like,
that.
you love who you love. And that for me, I was like, that was big because I didn't know how it was going to go. He then told my granddad, or I don't know if he told my granddad or my granddad just kind of assumed. But I remember when I did the island, I came off and like he'd always say to me, "Oh, I've seen your mate on the telly, Ryland," and I'm like, "Granddad, we don't know each other. Like, we're not friends. We don't all know each other." But I think in a way that was his way of saying, "I'm okay with it, and I know."
Yeah.
But we never spoke about it, so I was like, "That's cute." Um, yeah, my dad was really good with it. And then, so like, I didn't know this, but when I was in the house, so I've not spoken to like a lot of the Romany side for a long time because I was just like, they don't want to know me, they don't support me, and that's fine. But then coming out of the house, apparently, speaking to my dad, speaking to my brothers, they were really supporting me, and like had my back the whole time, which I was quite surprised by. And actually, I think that's quite a nice thing because it shows how powerful a show like that can be when someone who is your relative, someone you love, is on a show representing their true, authentic self. And then to be able to have that support off of that, even if it wasn't there before, they've seen me and realized, as we all know, I'm still a human being. Just because of who you love doesn't make you any different. But for some people, it takes a little bit longer to sink in. And I think it was a really lovely thing for them to see that. And they've been, yeah, really supportive. But yeah, I mean, the traveling community, they get a lot of stick. You know, we all know the what it's like. We've seen the TV shows, for example, years ago, and people think that they're like robbing bastards and they do this. And it's not like that at all. They're just people who are a little bit old school. They live in their own little community, their own little bubble, and they they're 90% of the time lovely people. You know,
Yeah.
they just want to live their life like everyone else does, really.
Yeah.
Because they're a minority, really, as well. You know, in a weird way. Like they're not. There's not many of them. They go to school. Like my cousins went to school. They went to college. One was training to be an air stewardess. You know, so I don't know where all this thing comes up. They don't work because they
Yeah.
do. Like, but yeah, it was a nice experience actually coming out. I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the lucky ones,
Good.
to be fair.
Yeah. You said you've got like brothers. How many of you are there?
So there is 5 boys and 2 girls, and I'm the oldest of all of
Blimey.
them.
You're the
Yeah,
oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Were you whipping them into shape when you were
Oh no,
younger?
completely the other way around. Completely. I used to wind them up, and then now when you see them, everyone thinks I'm the youngest. They're all about 8. Honestly, they're all about 8 foot tall, 9 foot wide. They're huge. Like they're big, proper. What you would think of as a manly man would be. That's them. Like they are, but they're nothing like the stereotype, which is really lovely as well. I mean, my brother asked me, like I didn't have to come out to my brother. He asked me when I think I was 21, and he said to me one night we were having a drink, and he was like, "Can I ask you something?" And I don't know why, but instantly I just thought he's gonna ask me if I'm gay, and I just was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And he was like, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "Oh fuck." And I took a sip of my drink, and I was like, "Now or never, Dean, because if you don't do it now, you're never gonna do it." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I am. Is there a problem?" And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Absolutely not." He was like, "Listen, I could tell you had like weight on your shoulders and there was something going on in your mind, and I knew it was affecting you. I wanted to ask you so you could just be clear of it and be like, no one cares. No, everyone loves you for you. And I was like, are you serious? You could have told me this earlier. Like, I'm, I was like, I've been walking around. Because also I grew up on council estates. I grew up on council estates, and in a time where like it was quite rough. I grew up in like ghetto parts of East London, and I was very different to all of the boys. Like there was, I grew up with a lot of roadmen, if you like. That's what I mean. I don't know if that's politically correct, but that's what they were. They
Yeah.
were roadmen. So you know, I grew up with a lot of that, and being the only camp one, everyone just kind of was like, "Oh, it's just Dean. That's what Dean's like." You know, Dean just does Dean, and I'm like, "Okay, cool." But there's more to that. I want you to know who I am. I want people, and it took a while. It took a while for me to get to a point where I was like, "No, this is who I am," and like it or lump it, this is it. You know, I'm not gonna hide any longer.
Love that.
It's
No, we
nice that
Yeah,
you had such a nice experience, like coming out, because we all know there's so many people
yeah,
out there that don't get that
yeah.
nice experience.
And
So,
it's, you know, and you hear that so much, and it makes me sad. And
mm,
that's why I think, because I've had such a positive experience, I've like everything I've done in the media or online, on radio, wherever it is, I just wanted to represent a type of person or people that would see themselves in me, because I didn't have that growing up, you know. I think the first kind of representation that we had when I was a young adult was someone like Rylan, who was overly camp and flamboyant and openly gay. And, you know, it was someone like that made a big impact, because it was like anyone that was queer or like wanted to be a bit more feminine
mm,
could be, because they'd just be like, oh, they're like Ryan, they're like
mm,
Rylan, you know. So it,
mm,
in a way, it was kind of softening the blow for a lot of people. And and again, with Big Brother, that was why I loved it so much growing up, because they had so much representation before even
mhm,
representation was a thing. You
yeah,
had the first transgender woman win series 5. You had a gay man win series 2. You know, and then from then you've had such series 6. You had Kamal, who was like, you know, dressed as a female. Like that was, and at the time I didn't know why I loved it so much or resonated with it so much. But now I look back on it, I'm like, that was because they were the sort of people I wanted to be like, or I saw myself and wanted to be, you know. So that was, seeing that was fabulous. And there's so many people that don't have that. I don't have that, like, and I just wanted to make sure that people could have something in me, and it felt like, okay, if you can't come out to your parents, then I am always here on the other end of a message, regardless of if I don't know you. And hopefully I can be that person that softens the blow for your family, you know, and you can say, I'm kind of like Dean. And, you know, and since that, since the house and since other little things, people have messaged me saying, oh, I came out to my parents. They watched you on the show. They really loved you. And I've now been able to tell them that I'm gay or I'm
so
lesbian or I'm bi
nice.
or I'm queer. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I didn't win 100K, but I've won in that aspect that people are being able to be them,
yeah,
because
For sure.
I'm being me, you know,
For sure. That's so
and that's
lovely.
lovely. Yeah, it's
That's
just
really
it's really
nice.
lovely. Yeah,
Would
that's
you
the biggest
class
achievement.
yourself as like a role model now?
I would never class myself as a role model, but I would like to hope that I am someone's role model,
mm,
or people's role models. And,
mm,
you know, especially coming from such a background, because you always hear sob stories. And, you know, my background was, my growing up was shit. Like, where I grew up was horrible. And I probably saw things I shouldn't have seen as a kid. And there was a lot of shit that happened. And being a queer kid trying to navigate that, plus navigate living in like really harsh environments and seeing things, then trying to come out as yourself. I mean, it's been a journey, like, but I would love to think that like someone like that has gone through that, or I kind of say that it doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, as long as you know that you are who you are and you're right for who you are, you're meant to be who you are, then that's all that matters. And if I represent that in other and people can see that, then mate, like I'm here for them all. That's what they call me,
100.
mother,
Say it
honey.
with chest. Yes, I love that.
Mother is home, baby. Mother
We
is
love
home.
it. Listen, we're not
Yeah.
going to ask you too many more personal questions because we believe you have a podcast starting.
Ah! Yes,
Listen,
I do.
first questions first. When do you want us on it? Our availability is
Oh,
very limited.
listen, you're busy women. So, whenever you're free, I would love to have you
Stop
on.
it. We knew it.
Yeah, of course. Are you
Tell us
joking me?
about it. What's it's called Cheers to Queers, is it?
It's called Cheers for the Queers. So we are, Cheers for the Queers. We're bringing out a podcast. So it's going to be me as like the main kind of hub for it all. And then we're going to have Martha. Martha's going to be on it, coming and doing like loads of, she's going to be like my main piece on the side. She's going to be like my main co-host. And then Ali's going to try and dip in and out from time to time. Lily's going to dip in and out as guest host. And so is Days, hopefully. And then we're gonna obviously get guests on, and we're gonna talk about all things queer and camp, and we're
Nice.
just gonna have a
Oh.
great time.
It sounds
There's
like
gonna
another
be
podcast that I know, actually.
Is it your podcast?
This is so exciting. How exciting. What
Yeah, well, you
started
know
this
what?
whole thing?
The
Where did it?
podcast.
Yeah.
So obviously, I've done radio for a very long time. I've done podcasts before, but I've only ever been a guest on one podcast before Big Brother, and I'm like, I love nothing more than going on podcasts and talking about things and being able to
Yeah.
like share my voice and whatever else with whoever wants to listen to it. So when we was in the house, I was like, I'd love to to do a podcast after this because you'll gain more traction from it. One thing I knew is I'm not stupid. Like I know that you're going to get followers, and you might not win money, but you'll get some followers and you'll
Yeah.
gain some traction. So I'm like, I'd be stupid not to use that platform now for my purpose. Um, Am I being paid for it? No, because I'm doing it out of all my own money. Like you know how it is. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm doing it out of my own pocket. And if anything gets sponsored from it or however people make money from it, absolutely love that. But it's more of a passion thing for me. Like I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to have a podcast that represents who I am, who the wider generation of people are, and also I do think it's right now it's never been more important to be queer. Like in a
Exactly.
world that we're living in that's going backwards,
For
America,
sure.
we won't touch on because it's not that kind of podcast. But it's going backwards and it's slowly creeping into the UK, and it's quite scary. And I don't
Mhm.
want to see people having to hide back in the closet or hide back in their homes or not be able to. Me and my partner were talking about this the other day. Like, it's when you think about it, it's actually amazing that we are two gay men who have a house, a dog, and we are allowed, say allowed, which is so disgusting. I shouldn't be saying allowed because it's such a horrible word, that we are allowed to live together and we're accepted, where maybe even not even 20 years ago, that wasn't a thing. Same
No.
with lesbians, same with trans people. Like, trans people have always existed. Like, there is no, if there's no lesbians, if there's no LGBT without lesbians, lesbians were the first, they're the first letter. Do you know what
You're
I mean?
welcome.
For a reason. You're the first for a reason, honey, because you supported the gay men, during the AIDS crisis, and I think we need to keep pushing that, and I think Pride's never been more important. And I think Queer History Month's never been more important. Like, it needs to be shown, it needs to be told. This is who we are. We are here. We are queer. We're not going fucking anywhere. Like, because
Yes,
we've always been here.
for
You
sure.
know.
For
We're not
sure.
gonna. So that's where it comes. The love and the passion of podcasting and talking and entertaining the public is what I love to do. So, and then Martha was like, "Oh, I'd love to do that with you," and I'm like, "Fine, absolutely fine." And then Ali
Yeah.
was like, "I'll jump on when I can," and I'm like, "Yeah, perfect." So it's gonna be. Oh, hello, we're falling over. It's gone so well up until now. Um, yeah, so that's where that came from, and I'm just buzzing to get started with it, to be honest.
When does it start?
So we're still working out a date because obviously Martha lives quite far away.
Right.
Um, so I've got a studio that I want to record in. I found the studio. I found the people. guests I'm whittling down now to, because we're trying to, I think for the series one, we're going to try and not be too guest heavy because we want to try and find our feet with it and
Yeah.
see how it goes. And then as time goes on, we're going to get more and more people on. Just once we found the flow and what works and what doesn't work, you have to trial and error these things with podcasts, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Same with radio shows, you have to trial and error. So I think, yeah, that's going to be the thing. The trial and error is going to happen. And then I'm hoping it will be released in March. So not long,
Oh, nice.
not long. So it gives us like a month and a bit. Like Martha's a busy woman, like with work and whatever else. So every time I'm trying to contact her, I'm like, you need to answer your phone because, honey, we've got stuff to discuss. So yeah, hopefully March, but
Oh,
we will
exciting.
see.
Oh,
Yeah.
can't wait. Can't wait. I love a good podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Listen
think
to it
like
on the way to
everyone,
work. Love it.
yeah, and people go, everyone's got a podcast now. I said everyone may have a podcast, but not everyone's got a good one.
Yeah.
Do
Fair.
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, there's only a few podcasts that I'll listen to and actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Yours is obviously one of them.
Oh,
Well, we
And
didn't
then
come with that response.
obviously, and I did a podcast the other day, avoiding my anxiously attached boyfriend. That was a really good one, like a gay couple. And I was like, yeah, I love that. That was fab, and I really enjoyed doing that. And who else have I listened? I started listening to Paloma Faith's got a new one,
Oh,
which
shit.
is it's called Mad, Bad, and Sad, and it's so chaotic. I love it. If you need a bit of chaos, but like in the best possible way, give it a watch. Like she had Alan Carr on as her first guest, and it's just carnage. I love it.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Definitely give that
Yeah,
one.
we'll
Yeah,
have to.
Love it.
We'll have
have
to.
a little watch.
Thank you so much for coming on and
Thank you.
Oh,
answering
thank you for
every
having
single
me.
one of our questions. It's been amazing.
Oh, anytime.
I think it is only fair, though.
Mm.
Do you have an ick?
Oh,
Oh.
I have many. Yes, I have an egg. So I'd probably say, this is going to come down to Big Brother again as well. It comes down to people's shoes. That is a big ick for me.
Yeah.
Horrible shoes are an ick. Yeah, like Sarah's shoes were an ick. Like I'm very like it, even with customers when I'm cutting hair, if they come in and they've got bad shoes, I'm like, oh. I just judge your whole personality of your shoes at that point. I'm just like, there's no excuse for bad shoes, guys.
No.
And then my second biggest ick is going to the supermarket in your pajamas.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very 2016.
There's no need. There is
Let's
no
leave it
need
back
to wear
there.
pajamas. We've
Absolutely.
go on ASOS and get some loungewear or some like nice J fits that actually you could wear outside too. You don't have to wear a fucking dressing gown and Ugg boots. They're not even real Ugg. Look,
Absolutely. Oh,
maybe-
God.
Oh.
Oh, that's my karma. That's my karma.
We're here for it. Completely agree. We've said that one, haven't we?
We
Like,
have,
we,
yeah.
we got very passionate. No pajamas
pajamas.
in the supermarket, honestly.
Or dropping your kids off. Please don't.
Yeah.
And that is not a euphemism. I meant actually getting your kids off.
Oh, thank you again so much
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
on.
Honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and letting me speak. And it's been
Absolutely.
fun.
Yes, we can't wait to hear the podcast. We'll definitely be
And I
keeping our
can't wait
eyes
to have you
out.
on, darlings. I can't wait to have you on.
Oh,
Stop
well, yeah,
it.
we'll have to try and fit you in with our busy lives, but
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, you know, saving lives and podcasting. Don't know where you get the time, love.
It's just what we do. Again, it's just what we do.
What you do, super women.
Thank you so much. We'll speak to you soon.
Yes, having a great evening, and I will
And
speak
you.
to you very soon.
What a great chat.
So fun.
Mhm.
Like that's one of my, in fact, one of my favorite. It is up there.
Yeah,
It is up there.
it's only taken 50 episodes.
I know. Thank you, Dean, for saving me. It's been a real struggle.
And I must say, I was really like heartwarmed by his coming out story.
Yeah, really lovely.
Mm.
Really, really and just really nice to know him. Like, obviously, you know it's a person and you know it's a human, but I think we all know that you only see a fraction of someone when they're in a reality TV show. Like,
Mhm.
you don't, and even then, that has been manipulated
Oh, it's
to
absolutely
a
been
certain
manipulated.
extent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all get that. And if you don't get that, have a word. And I think it's just really nice to know him on like a personal level and have that chat. And I just completely forgot we were actually doing the episode. I was just like, I'm just chatting with me, mate.
Yeah, that's exactly how it made me feel as well.
Just having a gas bag, seeing how he's getting on. Yeah, it was really, really nice.
But mate, it seems like we might be a little guesty on his old podcast.
Listen, if it means his views and his followers get elevated because we're on there, who are we? Who are we to deny him?
He scratches our back, we scratch his. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I think we should wrap it up then.
I think we should too. Shall I do the spiel?
Please.
Yeah, standard.
I've been drinking. Anyway.
You can tell it's February and dry January's over.
Absolutely. She's got making up to do.
So you can follow us on all social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. I was going to say X. We haven't been on there for months.
You've been drinking as well.
I have been drinking.
You've been drinking as well.
If you are watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button and give us a little like. Anytime you give us a little like, it helps the channel out very, very much. And I'm actually getting filmed by my other half while I'm saying this.
Why is she doing that?
She's putting me off immensely. I have also been promised by my other half that she will make an appearance one day. So make sure you subscribe so you can see that and see who loves me. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can email us at thebgcpod@gmail.com. But until next Friday, bright and early, I've been Laura.
And I've been Vic.
And we will see you soon.
Be seeing you.